Welcome. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Welcome, one and all. I see already record numbers. People were in class in the schoolyard since last night. People were in the schoolyard since last night waiting for what is to be a very informative, a usually informative program today. Today being the 5th day of July in the year 2023. Welcome. And as we'll tell you, share the live. Let people know that we are ready and we're here and we're ready to go. We are ready to go. My colleague is already in the studio, ready to go. So share the live. Let people know that Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence is on today. And I'm sure we will not disappoint you. All those who are in the classroom or the schoolyard rather, since last evening, I'll tell you where we do a brief roll call this morning because we have so much to say that we don't want to take too much time on the roll call. While the roll call is important, I understand that this morning is a special morning. We have so much to discuss. So share the live, let people know that we are ready and going. I see the YouTubers, as usual, are here very early. And once we went live a few moments ago, the Facebookers are pouring into the classroom. Hundreds are already in the classroom to top up on all those hundreds that are there on YouTube. So continue to share the live. Let's give praise and thanks to being to be able to see another day. Let's give praise and thanks to being in the land of the living. It is good to be here and to rejoice that we are here in the land of the living to see another day. And as we say, share the live. Let me do the little preamble, give everyone an opportunity to join. We don't want anyone to miss anything this morning, including those amphibians. Let them come on and let them be educated. Those who are capable of being educated, we're going to educate it. We are going to try. We're going to try. We're not going to give up on them. We're not going to give up on them because they will come with all kind of nonsense. But we know to deal with them. I told you, and we all know you deal with cockroaches. They are nocturnal, meaning they come out in the night. When you turn on the light, they will scurry. Some of them you're going to be able to stamp and crush. Some you get your insecticide that you spray and you eliminate them. So we are not going to be perturbed. We are not going to be distracted by all those who will come to say all manner of things. Today, we're going to deal with Dharam Lal issue. As promised in the notification, we're going to deal with the issue of Dharam Lal. And when I gave the notification, it was a time when we learned that the file had been returned by the police for legal advice. And since then, we heard last night that the DPP has indicated no charge should be filed against Dharam Lal. And then last night, the president indicating that Dharam Lal has asked to resign. So I'm going to go through that statement too, because I've seen a lot of inconsistencies in the statement issued by the president last night. I have seen a lot of inconsistencies issued in the statement issued by the police yesterday in respect to the advice they got from the DPP not to charge Minister Dharam Lal with rape. So we are going to go through these things and we are going to inform and educate you. Don't take nothing that these people say at face value. Don't take anything at all for granted. Don't take anything for granted. Read through the lines. And I have done that. And therefore, I will try to advise and inform you of what I have observed. My colleague, Mr. Conway, will do the same. So once we finish, there's a couple other issues that we are going to deal with. And once we finish that, we're going to delve straight into the Dharam Lal issue, straight into it. And we're going to spend most of the time dealing with this issue, how it was handled. You know, they talk about the rule of law, they talk about the presumption of innocence and all of that. Convenient concepts to them, very convenient concepts. So we are going to go through it. So continue to share the live, and we are going to educate you. Now, let me say, as we're starting, the police force is celebrating its anniversary, 1st of July, 1839. I understand that they might have been the usual service to commence the activity that would have been on Saturday. But I've noted very lukewarm. Normally, you know, the plaster all kind of pictures and statements on their page. I haven't seen any. I saw from the DPI, but nothing from the police. So maybe they're not proud to be celebrating the anniversary. So yes, the one what year it is, I'm not sure, but it was 1839 and the 1st of July that the police force was formed. And then congratulations belatedly to those persons who, my US friends, there are many, who yesterday would have observed Independence Day in the US, the 4th of July, US Independence Day. So yes, those are things to celebrate. Now, having said that, I want to wish Tessa, who is here on the live, I saw her early, Tessa Isaacs Gravesandi. Tessa is celebrating a natal day, a birthday today. Congratulations, happy birthday to you, Tessa. And I also noted during the past week, another regular who is also on the live, Colin Stanford. He celebrated a birthday recently. I want to say congratulations to all of you. Wish you all the best in the future. Now, having said that, you know what we say, it's good to be in the land of the living, and we got to celebrate and we got to rejoice being in the land of the living. Some sad news. I want to express condolences to retired Assistant Commissioner Marlon Chapman on the passing of his wife. His wife passed away in the US recently, and I noted, I think yesterday, that the funeral service will be held on Friday in Valley Stream, New York. But yeah, Marlon, very good friend, very good police officer who retired not so long ago. He has lost his wife. And Marlon, I want to express condolences to you and hope that you find the strength, that God gives you the strength to move on beyond this adversity. I know you now listen to this program. So condolences to you, my brother Marlon. And on a happier note, I see Gavin and I know Ulrich and all of these cricket fans are normally tuning to this program. I know they must be grieving that the West Indies has been knocked out of the World Cup. They're still playing, but they can't make it through. They won a game today. They beat Oman. Imagine we have to be celebrating West Indies' victory over Oman. They were beaten by Zimbabwe. They were beaten by Scotland. And how lower can you go? How low can you go? So yes, and you know, India is in the West Indies to take part in Test match, ODI, and T20s. Let's see how that will go. That looks like more licks. That looks like more licks. And for the cricket fans, I'm sure you guys would have enjoyed the recently concluded Test match, the second Test match between England and Australia for the Ashes at large. That was a very gripping, very good Test match, notwithstanding the Bairstow incident. But the rules are the rules. When you violate the rules and you give them out, don't tell me about no spirit of the game. Don't tell me about spirit of the game. Tell me about the rule of the game. And many of them are using the spirit of the game conveniently. Just how you see in Guyana, they're using this thing about presumption of innocence and the rule of law conveniently. It's the same way these cricketers are using the spirit of the game very, very conveniently. But don't worry like that. Yes, Lado, looks like peace from India. That is what is anticipated. So yes, and I think tomorrow the third test starts between England and Australia. Good test match. It's good to sit back and watch these very, very good games. So having said that, I did indicate to you that the roll call will be very brief this morning. All I want to say is that the program was scheduled last evening. We scheduled the program very, very early. We were so anxious to get started that we scheduled the program last evening. And you know, from the time we scheduled the program last evening, a lot of people signed in at 9:40. Let me get it right. Yes, at 9:40, I think it was. Hold on, let me get it right. I don't think I get it. I don't think it's that. At 8:36. Wait, man, I get the wrong thing. Hold on, hold a while. Bear with me. I get the records a little mixed up. But very, very early. Oh yes, here it is. Very early at 10:40 p.m. last night. The first man in the schoolyard was Chipper 68 at 10:40. Then we had John C. We had Yvonne at 11:06. Johnny, Natasha G, Wayne from the UK, he was in at 11:54. Raheem came in at early this morning, 12:26. We had Selwyn on at 101, and Selwyn did say that today we got to talk about something about the justice system, and we are going to do just that. Let me bring in my colleague, CC, and let's get started. Good morning, Mr. My colleague, my co-accused, my brother, my friend, CC. How are you?
But many happy returns. Glad to be in the land of the living. I wish to publicly express my sympathy to Marlon Capone on the death of his wife. He spoke. His voice sounded very strong. I don't know the other parts of the body. And also to my friend, happy birthday, Chester Radio. And happy again to be able to do the work of the Lord.
Yes, we are always glad to be here to do the work of the Lord. But before we go into Dharam Lal, they got a couple issues I wanted to deal with last week. I forget, last week we had, I mean, again, we say every week there are so many things. Last week we had the issue with the two Kanu ranks arrested. Two Kanu ranks arrested, a thief some diamond, and one of them excreted the diamond. In other words, he shit out the diamonds at the hospital. That is the type of disregard, disgrace, incompetence, corruption that we have in the system. Two ranks from the customs anti-narcotic units are arrested for thieving diamond. They said stealing, but we said they thieved the diamond. And when one was taken to the hospital, he excreted the diamond that he had ingested. And the other one took the people to some pawn shop where he had pawned the diamond, and they recovered. Yeah, a lot of diamonds forever. And then we had the sad case. I say every week is something where a man and his two children were burned to death in a Drysdale Street fire. And this morning I saw where they're saying that the fire was electrical in nature. A man and his two children burned to death in this fire sometime last week in Drysdale Street. And then we have also the police indicating, they put up the murder rate. CC, I know you will be interested in this because you have been speaking about this all the time. Police told us about the murder rate. And let me bring it up and show our audience what they say. This is what they say. The murder rate up to the 29th of June 2022. They are finally given some figures, and we will see what it is. A massive increase in the amount of murders between January 1, 2023 and June 29. And what they did not do, well, yes, they did make the comparison. When you look at the comparison 2022, 2023, you can see a massive increase, massive domestic murders from 13 to 33, over 100%. Disorderly, a slight decline there, 38 to 32. Execution, 1 to 200%. Robbery, and these are the worrying ones, because when you talk about robbery, you're talking here about what we call felony murder, a murder that is committed during the course of the commission of another offense. So you move from 2 to 6. Then you add unknown, I don't know what is unknown, from 6 to 9. Total from 60 in 2022 to 82. So that is a massive increase percentage-wise of the number of murders that you've had. CC, do you care to count? And we still believe that they're cocking the figures. CC, do you want to comment on that?
Sure, Paul. And as I said, they're hiding the figures. Now me they give you a percentage. I remember sometime, I think all the year or last year, the minister of affairs was dealing when he said the crime down by 18%. Well, you look at the more the domestic, it's up by 150%. Execution style, 100%. Robbery, 150%. Unknown, 33%. So they give you figures, but they hide in the percentage. But any little primary school teacher student could work out the percentage. And the thing is, that the stats they're using for 13, I think, categories. And those things were since in Larry Lewis days. They have not changed a single thing. They don't have offenses under the Sexual Offences Act, the Drug Act, Trafficking in Person Act. Domestic Violence Act, a whole lot of serious offenses are not catered for. Over 40 years ago, they're using the same formula and things have evolved. And what they're doing, that you don't measure the efficiency and effectiveness of a police force by just giving the stats, the percentage increase and decrease. You need to go deeper than that. You need to go to the go to our customers, go to the public, go to the public and do what we call citizen surveys or community surveys. There are quite a lot of qualified persons in the police force that can do surveys for them. People like instead of telling people, we have a deputy commissioner, a senior superintendent, a superintendent, others um, away from the police force, uh, checking on flood, checking on rainfall and other things. There. Use them to do citizen survey to check with the citizens to see how you're doing, whether you provided the mandate, whether you did in terms of your Section 3(2) of the Police Act telling you, but the work you're supposed to be doing, and also your mission statement. You see, if you do community surveys, it's a win-win situation. Citizens are better served, and the police receive positive feedback. Citizen survey can be a key to establishing good communication. Citizen surveys can help set organization goals and priorities, identify strengths, weaknesses, and it's a win-win situation. So I'm saying instead of just looking at crime stats don't tell you whether or not you're efficient or effective. Go to the people, go to your customers, go to members of the community and do proper surveys. And you have quite a number of university graduates. Instead of getting them at the Civil Defense Commission, instead of getting deputy commissioner, a senior superintendent, a superintendent, and others at the Civil Defense Commission doing what? Use them. Use them to do survey to check whether or not you're winning the war against crime.
Well said, well said. Since then, since this thing was released, they say it's up to the 29th of June. I noted we have had at least three more murders. They report police probing murder of a Venezuelan man at Grove. Then they report an IFAT woman murdered, police seeking reputed husband. And then they have a review laborer dies after being stabbed in an argument. So you have had at least three more murders. And then we have, moving on from the murder to the traffic madness. And let me show you let me show the viewers let me show you all this. Let me show you all this.
So the driver of the car came out, parked it in the middle of the street, and just leave it right there, just right there. He gotta be the president's son, just right there, right there.
Folks, that is, I'll put it back up in a short while. That is the corner, for those of you who know Georgetown. We talk today Camp Street and South Road. That's between the two banks, the Demerara Bank on the western side and Citizens Bank on the eastern side. What we are...
So the driver of the car came out, parked it in the middle of the street, and just leave it right there, just right there. He gotta be the president's son, just right there, right there.
Lawlessness we have, and then they give some figures in terms of the fatal accidents. Let me see where it is. I have it somewhere. They give some figures, fatal accidents, and this the same thing, fatal accident figures. Here they are, and here again, what should they doing? They're talking about fatal accidents. You see the figures there. That is the police again, up to 1st of January 2023 to 29th of June 2023. Number of fatal accidents 65. Total number of fatal deaths 75. And then they tell you about fatal incidents. Up to now, they cannot define for us what is a fatal incident, but they chose to put it under the accident figures. So that should be instructive. They said in total number of fatal incidents, 24, total number of fatal deaths, 27. So after the 29th of June 2023, they had a number of 102, total number of deaths, 102 fatalities on the roads of Guyana. They did not give a comparative figure, so you don't know how this compares to what transpired at the corresponding period last year. All of this, I mean, they've taken a step now. They're putting out the figures because we have lamented on this program that for the longest while you're not getting any figures. So something has moved them to put out the figures, but they have to give more than that. What were the corresponding figures for the same period last year? That is what going to inform and instruct and advise us as to how well or not they are doing. So that is what you have there. TC, you saw those figures?
Yeah, I saw them. And like the crime, they're trying to hide the stats. And I don't know what is fatal incidents. Tell us, they must be able to give us a rationale how they come to the conclusion that there were 24 fatal incidents, which resulted in 27 deaths. Let us know why you said this is an incident and this is not an accident. And we talk about road. Let us look back to the definition for road. We agree when everything happened in the right field and man throwing a tractor turnover. There's no road there, and in the right field. There's the incident, but those things, the car on the road, a man hit a bridge, go in the trench, persons die, and the same incident. Even recently at Isano, where two persons died, they want to send a fatal incident when the particle Isano comes under the particle Potaro Road. It is gazetted, and they're not looking holistically in terms of traffic. They're doing piecemeal, and piecemeal thing we don't get piecemeal results. I mean, the traffic chief is trying his best, but they're giving him baskets to fetch water to bait ducks that are swimming in the pond. They need to do a proper holistic approach, and all must be involved. Not only the traffic man, the general duty person. Ask the average general duty man, when last time you made a traffic case? And the answer will be zero. That all must be involved. Don't leave everything here. And we've been preaching all the time, Paul, that they need to look at corruption, the 6C. Persons are too easily getting their driver's license by paying some money to get a driver's license. So you put in persons who cannot drive on the road. Therefore, you must have accidents. You must have fatal accidents. And they're not dealing with the thing as they are to. What they need to do, like what we had attempted with under the Citizen Security Program, we had ISIS in Guyana, but ICIS, Integrated Crime Information System, where the information was sent to central body, where analysis was done, and then you you work on the analysis. So what I'm suggesting to them that they must have integrated traffic information system where all the data goes into a central body, and that is like home affairs controlled by the police, where they have to employ analysts to analyze the situation, analyze the data, and based on the data, I said you do what we call a 3D approach toward it. Data-driven decision. Looking at say when these accidents are occurring, the time, the days of the week, the category of persons involved, category of vehicles involved, and also the thing that you need to look at and analyze. So you have what you call like a real-time information data system that you can use your human and other resources to deal with the reality. Not only looking at fatal accidents, and they're not looking at minor accidents, at damage accidents, at serious accidents. Those minor damage and serious will eventually become fatal. You got to look at all categories of accidents and I say have a proper database And based on that data, you do a 3D approach towards the traffic situation. And as mentioned before, all must be involved. It must be a holistic approach. And if we look at it, laboratory package too, people doing the tests. And you go to Zara, those computer centers that Zara established there. And Zara personnel are supervising the thing. They trust Zara because Zara built those computer centers. And one set of people understand doing the test over and over again. Corruption of take place right there. And there's no oversight body to deal with this Zara personnel there who conducting the test. No, they're not angels. So the whole thing in terms of the test, the practical and the theory must be properly supervised and there must be good oversight. Especially, I don't know why they use Zara, but Zara do Zara personnel doing the thing. So and they're not rotating them and nobody checking on them. So you just go there and Zara conduct the test and anything could happen. They are not angels and the corruption will continue forever and ever. Amen.
The problem will continue forever and ever, amen, until you have some proper intervention. Now, and just like the moderate, since those figures were given us, that those are the accident figures, we have what? They say a motorcyclist killed in an accident on Karakara. Public road is Linden. You've had one where a Cornelia Ida man dies after motorbikes collide. Two motorcycles collide and one man died. And then you have a motorcyclist died in accident on Mandela Avenue. So you've had at least 3 more fatal accidents since those figures were released to the public. At least 3 more. So that is what we have. And having said that, I did tell you that today we're dealing almost exclusively with this Dharam Lal incident, and we want to start now to deal with the Dharam Lal. We have given the latecomers enough time to join the class, and I noted the numbers are very huge. So yes, we are ready to start with the Dharam Lal issue. The 184 CC, thanks, Ivla. You're saying that Guyana Police Force was formed here to 184 years ago. Right. So yeah. So let me tell you the thing about Dharam Lal. We might have heard, for those of you who crawling out from some rock, you know my students are not on any rock, but Dharam Lal is the present tense, is the Minister of Local Governments and Regional Development. We know the allegation against Dharam Lal that he raped and sodomized a 16-year-old indigenous girl. This is alleged to have occurred on the 23rd of December last year, 2022. And we have had several statements and all that. But let me we know the allegation. Now we're gonna walk it through step by step. But let me jump first. Let me start at the latest. The latest is that the DPP has advised that there should be no criminal charge against Dharam Lal. That is yesterday. That is yesterday. We were told by the crime chief that the file would be returned to the DPP on Tuesday morning. This is yesterday morning. Because it is said that the child gave a statement over the weekend to say that she does not wish to proceed with this matter any further. She's tired. She don't want to proceed. They beat she down. Them torture her mentally. She says she does not wish to proceed any further. So that file, most likely with the statement, the NFA, no further action statement, was sent to the DPP yesterday morning. And the DPP acted with breakneck speed, to borrow a phrase from the Attorney General. She acted with breakneck speed. And yesterday afternoon, we are hearing from the police that the DPP has advised that no criminal charge should be filed against Nigel Dharam Lal. And then last evening, there's a statement allegedly made by the president to say that, and let me read this thing because, again, I'm going to invite you, CC, because, you know, we are the beneficiaries of statement analysis training. And when these statements are issued, I urge you all not to take them at face value. These people get a lot of salawala, as we would say. They come out with a lot of things. And when you examine what they have said, when you read through the lines, You recognize they're trying to hoodwink you. They're trying to pull wool over your eyes. So I have the statement here released last night. A statement is set, the statement from President Dr. Irfan Ali on the Dharam Lal's matter. And then he goes on to say, let me tell you this part. I'm going to read the whole statement. But he said, from the inception, I advised the population that I would allow the system to work. I would never, and the government would never intervene in the system. We allowed an independent investigation. The minister proceeded on leave to ensure that an independent investigation was conducted. Now let me analyze that part before we go any further. Let's analyze that part. The president said from the inception, he advised the population that he would allow the system to work. What system? The system is broken. The system is corrupt. And you know, somebody said to me last night, a very good friend of mine, having regards to all that the president is saying and all these people are saying that they allowed the system to work, and then he said the government would never intervene. It will be nice if we can see the records of the phone of the government people, the people at the investigators, and the people at the director of public prosecutors' chambers. It will be nice if we were able to get the record to see if at all that there had been any communication between and among those persons. That would have been very instructive. But then he goes on to say, we allowed for an independent investigation. Like these people don't know the meaning of the word independent. What independent investigation? You know, and let me jump forward because in 2011, an allegation of rape was made against the then commissioner, Henry Green. The president then, Dharam Lal, they talk all kind of bad things about Dharam Lal, or he was incompetent and all that. But if you check, during Dharam Lal's reign as president, several persons were asked to resign. They didn't request to resign, including Ganga Prasad, including Berry Slap and Strip Ramsaran. They were asked by the president to resign. In the case of Henry Green, Dharam Lal, the president, invited members of the Jamaican Constabulary Force, investigators, to come to assist and to conduct an independent investigation. That is what an independent investigation is supposed to look like. Not members of the police force who are compromised, not members of the police force who you have almost the same time that this allegation surfaced around the 15th of June. You have the superintendent in charge of Region Number 2, Kemrat Shivaran, is taking a statement from this young lady to say that the allegation that is circulating on social media is not true, perverting the course of justice, and the president wants us to believe that an independent investigation was done. Nonsense, nonsense. He said the police did their investigation and also other agencies, including the DPP. Here it is, the police did their investigation and also other agencies, including the DPP. Are we to understand that DPP was part of the investigation? That is what the president is saying. I don't know who write these things to the president, you know. I don't know who write these releases. And then he goes on to say, this is an interesting part. Listen to me carefully, my students. Listen carefully. He said, this evening, you've seen a statement from the DPP in which she advised that she will not proceed on any charges against the minister based on all that is before her. Based on all that is before her. That is not, and first of all, I have not seen any statement from the DPP. I don't know that the public would have seen a statement from the DPP. What we saw is a statement from the police, and the police said what the DPP said. So for the president to say that we would have seen a statement from the DPP is wrong, is erroneous, is misleading. No statement. I have not seen any statement from the DPP, and I've been monitoring the social media and the regular media. I have not seen any. I have seen a statement from the police, and the police said that the DPP said. And here it goes on to say, based on all that is before her, and even the release on the police, the DPP's direction wasn't based on all that is before her. She said she based it on the lone statement that this victim says that she doesn't want to proceed with the matter any further. The lone statement, that is what this thing is based on. That is what the police indicated to us. That is what the police indicated. And then he goes on to say we do statement analysis, and then I'm going to bring Mr. Conway what I done. He goes on to say, however, Minister Dharam Lal has advised that he will tender his resignation as the interests of the government is important to him, and he will not want anyone to bring the government in the dispute. Hear what he's saying. Hear what the president's statement is saying, that Mr. Dharam Lal has advised that he will tender his resignation. No resignation and tender, I just reading a statement from Senior Counsel Ford in Village Voice, and they're referring to the Dharam Lal as former minister. Where you get that from? The president said that Dharam Lal says that he will tender his resignation. Yes, he tenders resignation. The president did not say that Dharam Lal tenders. He said he will, but then he goes on to contradict himself and says, I have therefore accepted his resignation as a cabinet member and a member of parliament. But the man tender, according to you, Mr. President, the resignation has not been tendered. The resignation will be tendered. That is what you have said in the release. It will be tendered. So if it will be tendered, it's something to be done in the future. How can you then say you have therefore accepted his resignation as a cabinet member and a member of parliament? What balderdash is that? What rubbish is that? You said, sir, that the minister has advised that he will tender his resignation. He has not. You don't say he tender. You say he will tender his resignation. And then you go on to say, I have therefore accepted his resignation as a cabinet a cabinet member and a member of parliament. What confunctious nonsense is that? What confunctious? And this coming from the head of state of Guyana. This is what somebody would have prepared for him. Because I show Ian sit down and write this himself. No one expects the president to write these things himself. But this is what some advisor, somebody in the public relation, I suspect, wrote this to the president. And this is what the president released to the Guyanese public and the world. And hear this further. Hear this. I tell you, we're doing statement analysis. Something that both of us were trained to do. Statement analysis. So what he goes on to say. Let me the part. Mr. Dharam Lal, Nigel Dharam Lal has committed to me that he will continue to work and support me and the member of the People's Progressive Party, and also supportive of the government. He also advised that these allegations have affected him personally, and as such, he has offered to resign. Hear what the thing say. It's sheer confusions, bro. It's sheer confusion. He said, he has also, this is Dharam Lal, the president is saying that Dharam Lal has also advised that these allegations have affected him personally, and as such, he has offered to resign as a minister and a member of parliament. He has offered to resign. And it's interesting to note that in this statement, nowhere in this statement, the president is saying that the minister denies the allegation. He didn't deny in the statement. One would have thought that if you're innocent, you will use every single opportunity, including an opportunity like this, when you are going to, according to the president, offer to resign. You're offering to resign, and you're not going to proclaim, you're not going to continue to proclaim your innocence. No, this is a statement released by the president. This is the president release according to the release in the thing, the president. Now, he said, now that we have received the advice of the DPP, the minister has asked to resign as a member. There's the last paragraph. They're repeating this thing. The minister has asked to resign. Now that we have received the advice of the DPP, the minister has asked to resign as a member of cabinet and a member of parliament. I have accepted that resignation. There's a lot of confusion. It's a lot of confusion. Let me bring in CC for take piece of this lampy-pampy bowling, man. CC, what do you make of this statement by the president?
Well, as you say, lumpy, pumpy bowling, and as you mentioned, Paul, we did statement analysis and also something called effective writing. I remember my time there, we have to analyze memos and statements by the director of the FBI, and that was fun. Now we talk about the system. Now, if the system is rotten, Paul, What do you expect is going to come off with? Remember in computer terms, they say, Gigo, garbage in, garbage out. Garbage in, garbage out. As you already said, the minister, according to the president, the minister will tender his resignation. I know he was right. I was hereby resign with immediate effect or with effect from some other time. You put a time to it. Now you will resign. You got to put a timeline to it with immediate effect. And the system is for what you talk about in the independent investigation. What nonsense is that? Eh? What is independent about it? As you rightly mentioned, when there are allegation against Henry Green, people came from Jamaica and were involved in the investigation. So you're talking about independent people, and they're talking about Blossom and Child Link and all sort of nonsense. We have so many persons there investigating this girl. We'll go back to the president thing where Dharam Lal saying that the thing has affected me personally. What is that? And as you mentioned, he didn't deny serious allegation made against you that you rape a girl, that you buggered her, that that you have to suck your penis, and I talk about allegation, and then you're not going to deny those things. Those things actually on the face of it, from the girl's allegation, right? We had clear case and the elements of rape. The man is lack of consent and penetration. And in those statements that I saw, those allegations, there are absence of consent and the presence of penetration. And perhaps a dildo was used there also. That was mentioned. The thing is, it was so clear. The thing was so clear and so damning. And the minister has not been denied those things here. Somebody needs to properly advise the president in that statement. I don't think he was properly advised. Or perhaps he had what we call a ASP. His SP was high. Remember nowadays, Larry Lewis would say you have to have a low SP, and the SP is signing blindly. You must sign blindly. And you're responsible for everything above your signature. Everything above your signature, you are responsible for. So you must have a low SP in terms of signing blindly. I think he must be signing blindly. That the system is full. They have no independent investigation. So many things happen, which we will talk about later on. But let's just stick to the president's letter that statement thing. And as I mentioned earlier, Digo, garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out. And I would only add to that lots of garbage in, lots of garbage out. That is what we have. Lots of garbage in, lots of garbage out. And let me say this. It appear, I made a note here, like make me notes so this thing don't slip me by. I said it looks like the president does not make certain moves unless a request is made. You remember Charandas? Charandas had to request to return home. Then we had the same Nigel Dharam Lal. He had to make a request to go on administrative leave. Now he's requesting or he's offering his resignation. So, I said, the president looked like he in the West Indies cricket team. They ain't beating nobody. You're taking your licks and you're getting knocked out, but you ain't beating nobody. And, we spoke here last week about the man who sits in the chair, all of them complicit in this cover-up for this Dharam Lal thing. The man who sits in the chair and who is due to retire, according to his age, on the public service rule, is due to retire. So I couldn't help saying that maybe the president is waiting on this man to make a request to go into retirement leave. Perhaps that is what is happening, because the president only acts when you make requests. So Charandas request to be relieved of his his portfolio as I commissioned to India, following that scandalous encounter with the animal rights activists. And then long after we saw that Charandas was still in India performing the functions of the High Commissioner. And then Dharam Lal made a request to proceed on administrative leave, which does not apply to the office of minister, and the president accepts Dharam Lal and leave. I have seen it circulating on social media and elsewhere that Dharam Lal, even though while he was in leave, was calling and giving instructions in the office. So for all intent and purpose, he was still carrying out the functions as the minister. And now Dharam Lal has requested or has said that he will proceed on leave. He will proceed to retire, sorry. He will retire at some future date. And the president is accepting something that has not occurred as yet. So God help us in Guyana. God help us. So again, Mr. The man who sits in the chair, according to the records, Mr. Conway read it out. He wrote a letter about it too in the media. He's supposed to retire on the 1st of August 2023. That's just about 3 weeks away from today. Supposed to go into retirement. He wouldn't tell the public. The president would not inform the public what will be the position, whether he intends to keep him on. Because, you know, there's a lot of incompetence. And perhaps, I'm saying perhaps, the president is comfortable, or perhaps the president can empathize with the corrupt. So no, he might very well keep him on because they're comfortable with that. And let me say this before it escapes me, CC. We have been saying over and over on this program and elsewhere that following the return to the government on the 2nd of August 2020, they have made a concerted effort. I have documented it. I have the documentation to position people in all kind of senior positions in the police force. And we see now why that is so. We see, because when matters like this occur, they can rack back, as we would say, and say, oh, let the system work. But the system is broken. They have broken up the system, so they are confident that the system will work in their favor. So that is why they have these people there, incompetent though they are, to make sure that when an incident like this, a serious incident like this, where an allegation, a credible allegation is made by an indigenous 16-year-old that she was groomed since she was about 15. She was raped, she was sodomized by the minister. The people can say, oh, send a file, and I'm going to deal with the report that was sent to the DPP because I get some information in it. I will deal with that as we go on. And that is what you have. That is why they are comfortable with the likes of Kemraj Shifbaran, the superintendent who was in charge of region number 2, who on the 16th of June took this statement from the young lady, a 16-line statement, including the endorsements and all of that, that lasted over 3 hours. That is what he says. This is not what we making up. We ain't making up nothing. That is what he says. Lasted over 3 hours. And I asked the question up to now, I haven't gotten an answer. How did this young lady reach to the commander's office? And I'm hearing now that she was taken there by the same accused person. And I understand that it is more to it because people are involved. Senior people are involved. I understand senior people are involved, and that is why the duck and the dance and so on. Because the girl is alleged to have message. She was given the number of the senior people, and she sent text message to them to make the complaint, and she was being coerced into withdrawing that. And I understand the delay came about because they wanted to adjust the statement to exclude the reference to senior people. That is what we are saying. That is what. So when they come and tell you, let the system work, let the system work. And let me say here, before I bring my colleague in, I'm saying that notwithstanding what has transpired over yesterday, that is to say, the file was returned to the DPP with breakneck speed. And remember, this is the same DPP who, about a week ago, criticized the protesters and said that she had thousands of files from all the 10 regions in the country to deal with, and she prioritizing matters that were where people are incarcerated. That is what she said. Again, I'm saying is that we are saying these things is their own statement coming back to on them. So I'm to have these thousands of files, so that yesterday morning the file could be returned to the DPP, and by yesterday afternoon the DPP can advise not to bring any criminal charge against the minister. What happened to all the other statements? what happened to all the other files that she had to deal with? So I'm saying that notwithstanding the advice given to the by the DPP, other investigations, we're talking that Dharam Lal, and notwithstanding the fact that Dharam Lal says that he will resign, according to what the president says, that Dharam Lal said he will resign as a minister and as a member of parliament. Dharam Lal ought to be charged with the rape. He ought to be charged with sodomy, and he ought to also, he and others ought to be charged for perverting the course of justice, because it is alleged that Dharam Lal offered sums of money to the parents of the victim to forego prosecution in this matter. And my training and my knowledge says that if you do that, it's perverting the course of justice. I reminded us right here, I think it was last week, that Alistair Charlie, a PPP member of parliament, was accused of a sexual offense. He also was accused of offering one of the parent or grandparent of the victim $500,000. And he was charged for perverting the course of justice. There's nothing different in this matter. There is nothing different. $10 million were offered, and therefore he ought to be charged as well for perverting the course of justice. And let me fast forward. Oh, let me bring in CC first before dominate. I don't want to dominate this button. Let me bring in CC to deal with it. CC, what are your views on what I've just said, man?
Um, you pointed out, and let me talk a little bit about decision making. I don't think I can give the president full mark for decision making, although he has the ability. Um, remember when we were charged? Remember not when we were charged. Remember the president rushed with breakneck speed. He didn't wait to get all the facts. When he suspended the police service commission, but he was the chairman and I and other board members. Breakneck speed and suspended. You know what Judge Gino Patel rule unconstitutional? No, that boy has no legal, and you know all the terms that the judge used. You see, decision making sometimes it could be difficult. Sometimes you have to make split second decisions in situations that are forced, uncertain, rapidly evolving, that you gotta make decisions. But you want a leader who gotta be firm, who gotta be decisive, who gotta be authoritative, who gotta be reasonable, and who's unafraid to take appropriate action. We don't want a leader who going to procrastinate, who want to look nice, who want to be accommodating. Those things will weaken his authority and his response for upkeep and cause chaos in the situation. Somebody sent me a quote a couple of minutes ago, and they may say, when a leader does not address the problem becomes the leader, and the leader becomes the problem. Let me go. When a leader does not address the problem becomes the leader, and the leader becomes the problem. I remember reading Colin Powell's book, My American Journey. I think we read it about the same time. And here's what it's very interesting how we make decisions. He had a formula P for accepting. P stands for the probability of success. And 40/70 is the amount of information he has, whether 40, between 40 and 70%. And he said you got to make it, and he has between 40 and 70% information. He will make the decision based on his gut feelings, how he feels inside his gut feelings. Right? And that if he waits for all the facts, he will not make the decisions. And gut feelings is sometimes, we talk about God, is the Lord talking to you. Many times we saw case in the police force by something coming to you, might be put you on the road and something to stop the vehicle. You know where it's coming from. And you're going to stop the vehicle and just like this bang on, you get something. I didn't stop it and you regret afterwards because stuff was inside here. Or something by telling go on a restaurant, go and sort it out. And you go and you find things or you didn't go and you live to regret. That's something called intuition. Sometimes in decision making, we have to look at you have to deal with intuition. Things coming to you as the Lord talking to you, and you gotta listen. And most times we don't do enough listening. We do not a lot of talk a whole lot of trash, and then we make this in it. Now, what the police say, man? The police said the decision was not influenced by anyone. That the girl makes her own decision. She was not influenced by people. They kept her in confinement.
Let me put
They
up that
kept her in.
CC all the while. Let me put up that statement for the benefit of our viewers. I have the statement A that the police made, and I want to put it up so that our viewers can have a look to see the statement here.
Beautiful.
Here is the statement. Here is the statement made by the police. Now let me analyze this statement. Go ahead, CC.
Yeah, part of it is that the decision not influenced by anyone. How is that? They are not in prison. They are not in the holding center. They are not where juvenile prisoners are held. They took away her phone. She has no access to computer. She was in the office of alleged in the office of the director for child care and protection office for hours, hours and hours and hours, more than the 3.5 hours that she and had her. Hours and hours, and then they took her back 11 o'clock at night. 11 o'clock at night. They get Blossom interviewing her, Child Link interviewing her, police interviewing her, and interviewing, interrogating her. All those persons they got to be fed up. Mental torture she had to go through. And then you say she wasn't influenced. Those things influence her behavior. That she can say she want no access to attorney. No access to attorney. I remember Dexter and Cameron Ramjitan saying that if the approach, the parents accept the approach and they can't talk to her, that she's not entitled to have an attorney because of the protocol. And let me tell you the protocol. We are required to make protocol to execute the law. But the protocol must come within the ambit of the law. It must fit neatly within the ambit of the law. It must be able to know thing for people to wriggle out of it. If the protocol does not fall within the ambit of the law, it is illegal. And I'm surprised that those two attorney at law did not fight it, did not maybe go to the court to seek permission to speak to the client. So getting the girl in prison-like situation all the time for days. Everybody questioning her left, right, and center, Paul. What do you expect to happen? So the statement of police said the decision was not influenced by anyone. It maybe they're right, not anyone. Influenced by several persons and several groups. That is what it was influenced. And they're talking about protocol, that they follow protocol. What protocol they follow? For the protocol when you have a superintendent spending 3.5 hours taking a couple line statement from when the protocol dictates that a female must be dealing with her, and then no use of the domestic violence room. Those rooms were properly designed, properly prepared for offenses of that nature. Yeah? And then you're hearing that they had a forensic interview. What is a forensic interview? What is a forensic? Is there a need for a forensic interview? The girl's story is clear, or our story is what a investigator's dream. You get our thing. Investigator's dream. What is a forensic interview or a forensic report? What forensic science they apply? What forensic they apply? And the child care officer, junior person, understand, less than 2 years, child care officer, and then here a parent was present. Why not the mother or father? Or why not say that the father was present? Or not say the mother was present? And why not the two of them? Sometimes she might not be comfortable talking to people in the presence of her father, or comfortable talking in the presence of the mother, vice versa. So all I mentioned a parent. Which parent was present? So many things that went woefully wrong, that influence the decision of the child. No contact with the outside world. And telling me nonsense about forensic statement. What is forensic statement? And what is the qualification of the forensic interviewer? All those things must be made known to us. Then we can decide whether or not she was pressured. But for the time being, We must say that she was present. Mental torture that we have to crack. And Paul say crack 11 o'clock at night. 11
Well,
o'clock at night to crack.
well let me say this, and I'm leaving the statement up there so that people can see what they say. And I highlighted in red. Now, the first part there, the complainant, that's what they're saying. In our advice, the DPP disclosed that consideration was given to the fact that the complainant gave a further statement to investigators that she wishes to withdraw our complaint against Minister Dharam Lal, and that our decision was not influenced by anyone, and that same was in our best interest. Now, here you have, according to the police, this is what the police said that the DPP said. You have a director of public prosecutions of Guyana is saying that a 16-year-old can decide what is in the 16-year-old's best interest. My Lord, I have never heard that before. A 16-year-old who can vote, who can legally buy alcohol, and who can legally do a lot of things. But the DPP, according to the police, is saying that this 16-year-old decided to take this course of action because it was in our best interest. My Lord, where have we gone? Where have we gone? When a 16-year-old, the DPP, this is not no ordinary lawyer. It's a DPP who is a senior counsel and who heads the chambers with lots and lots of other legal minds, is saying that this decision not to proceed is influenced by the 16-year-old in our best interest. That is what they're saying. And then we go to the next paragraph. Well, the yellow there is I like that because they can't even spell the word preferred properly. That is how they put it out there, preferred. They spell it wrong. Instead of 2F and 1R, they put 1F and 2R. Well, they know why. They know enough about the Fs. They know enough about the F. So I would have expected they would have put the 2F and the 1R. And then they go in the virtual complainant statement was taken by a forensic interviewer in the presence of our parents, a child care officer, and a police officer. And that such statement was free and voluntary. My Lord, this DPP has brought Guyana into shame and ridicule. How can you say, having regards to what transpired, this young lady was locked up for almost 2 weeks. She was made to undergo mental torture, and her phone was taken away. She was denied access to legal representation, her own private legal representation. That is what Mr. Cameron Dramjatan and Mr. Dexter said, that they were not allowed because people said that that was not in keeping with whatever SOP they have. And then you're saying that this statement was free and voluntary. Madam DPP, that is what you're telling people. And you very well know that if an accused person had made a confession statement under those circumstances, or any statement under those circumstances, no court in Guyana, no court in any democratic society would accept that as being free and voluntary. And the director of public prosecutions, that is according to what the police is saying that because the statement was made in the presence of a child care officer, one of our parents, in the presence of a parent, a police officer, and that such a statement was free and voluntary. I am saying that our system has sunk to a new low. It gone subterranean now. We gone below the ground. When a statement like that, and this is given what the police have said, because as I've indicated, despite the fact that the president said that the DPP made a statement, I have not seen any statement from the DPP. What I saw is this, and this is a statement released by the police, and they're saying that the DPP made these statements. A child locked away, a child who was interrogated, not interviewed, interrogated. They start first with Blossom. I understand that apparently they weren't getting Blossom to do what they want to do, so they're bringing another agency. Pressure. And then the child succumbed under the pressure and said most like the song, do what you want. What you want. This is what you want. You want to say this? I'm going to say this. And the child gave a statement. And our director of public prosecutions is telling us that a statement under those circumstances, under those oppressive conditions, were free and voluntary. God help Guyana. God help Guyana if that is the standard that we are going by. CC?
Yeah, Paul, the statement, and as you mentioned in terms of the caution statement and a statement by accused, He might say this girl's statement would have been given as a result of threats or violence, as a result of rewards, favor, or hope of advantage. We heard about 10 million, perhaps another 10 million that played out. You know, and then you get her locked up in a place, and I visited the place before, and I think I must, without any contradiction, that place is more secure than the Mazzaroni prison. That here you have her under those adverse conditions, and then the police saying those nonsense or what's coming out of the DPP. I can't believe them, man. I don't even think for all that the DPP. The police must be making up a story, man. They must be making up. Let contradict. I believe they're making up a story. It can't come from the DPP, man.
I'm hoping at some stage the DPP will come out and say, well, that's not what she said. Because that is what the police have been emphasizing that. I have not seen any statement directly from the DPP. What we read there is what the police is saying that the DPP advised them. So I would hope that if in the absence of any statement to contradict that from the DPP, then we have to go by what the police say that the DPP says. And I can't imagine that the DPP would say that a statement taken under those circumstances is free and voluntary. I can't imagine that the DPP is going to say that a 16-year-old can decide what is best in our interest. These things boggles the mind. These things are so fundamental. I can't imagine that the DPP is going to say these things that the police claim that she said. And as I said, we are now awaiting, therefore, the DPP to clarify and say she never said so. The DPP should clarify that those statements that are alleged to have been made by our office are false. We would expect such a clarification, but at the same time, we shouldn't hold our breath. Because this thing is and you know, somebody said, I think it was the former Speaker of the House. He spoke, I have something here from this former Speaker of the House, where he says that, I have it here, let me tell you what the former Speaker said recently. He said the justice system in Guyana is in a state of collapse. The former Speaker, Mr. Ralph Karam, Special Senior Counsel, is saying that the criminal justice system in Guyana is in a state of collapse. He spoke about the state of our judicial system was not created by a natural disaster. It is man-made, and there is no hint that any man-made solution will ever be entertained. He said up to recently, the High Court had 12 appointed judges, although the full complement is 20. 3 of the 12, or 25%, have recently retired and cannot be replaced because the Judicial Service Commission is not being constituted, although there is no known obstacle to doing so. The Court of Appeal has 3 judges out of 5. And then he says, out of a complement of 5, for over 15 years, the full complement of the Court of Appeal has recently been increased to 9. That is what he's saying. He said the Judicial Service Commission had not been reconvened since 2017. When the PPP government entered office in August of 2020, it was one of the items on its agenda. To date, despite appeals from the judiciary and other sectors of society, the Judicial Service Commission is yet to be reappointed. And many excuses have been offered by President Irfan Ali and the Attorney General. That is what Mr. Ramkaran is saying. And want to recall, in January this year, the Attorney General said that the Judicial Service Commission will be appointed within the first quarter of the year. Half of the year finished yet, and they can't do that. So Mr. Ralph Ramkaran is positing that the system is in, he said the system is in a state of collapse. And he was speaking about the judiciary and the magistracy. But having regards to this decision from the DPP, is not only that part of the system is in state of collapse. Even the prosecutorial arm is in a state of collapse when you look at this. You know, the Attorney General, the President, even the Defense Counsel, Mr. Hughes, they said, let me allow the system to work. They said we should let the system work. That is what Nandalal said. You know, let me read again what Nandalal said. I like read them, you know, because now I set back and this safe said I can sue you for defamation of character. So I like to quote them, and this is Carlton News Source. on dated 28th of June, noting that the law should be allowed to take its course. Attorney General Dharam Lal today said that local government minister Nigel Dharam Lal, who is at the center of a rape investigation involving a schoolgirl, is innocent until proven guilty. He also said Mr. Dharam Lal, as a citizen, is accorded certain constitutional and legal safeguards by the highest of our laws, the Constitution. He's accorded certain facilities. He's presumed innocent like every other citizen of this country. Well, I got a problem with that. I have a problem, not like every other citizen, like selective citizens. He goes on to say, and the investigative arm of the state must be allowed, free from any form of pressure, to conduct its investigatory role and functions, Minister Dharam said. He went on, Dharam assured that the process outlined in the country's criminal justice system is being scrupulously followed. Mr. Dharam, when you speak about the presumption of innocence, I would like to again remind you and all that no presumption of innocence was accorded to the police officers who were charged in the Quindon Bacchus murder. I refer to Sergeant Damien McClellan. We have Juan Christoph, and we have Simon. They were charged for various offenses on the 5th of July. And on the same day, the man who sits in the chair had them dismissed. So there was no presumption of innocence. And you are on record in the case where the people from SOCU arrested the attorney for advising our client not to give a statement to the police. You're on record as saying that you are the constitutional advisor to the police. You said so. You are the constitutional advisor to the police. So you can't absolve yourself from this travesty where no due process or no presumption of innocence was accorded these 3 ranks. Then you have only recently in Barbies, 3 ranks, an assistant superintendent of police misplaced his firearm. That is what the police reported. And you have 3 constables. This is recent, within the past 2 to 3 weeks. 3 constables are dismissed. There is no presumption of innocence there. There's no due process. They were never charged with any offense. They were summarily dismissed by the man who sits in the chair. So this thing, when you come and tell people about Dharam Lal is presumed like every other citizen, it doesn't apply. It doesn't apply. The rule of law in Guyana has its own definition. And I have said on this program and other programs that when you, Mr. Attorney General, and others in Guyana speak about the rule of law, you must define it in Guyana's context. Because the rule of law in the wider international context is a rule which states that all citizens are equal under the eyes of the law. But it is obvious from this Dharam Lal's case and other cases as well, all citizens are not equal. So the rule of law in Guyana is not the same as what is applied in other jurisdictions. So we understand this. Let me understand it. Some people, this is a classical animal farm. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Animal farm, George Orwell. Mr. Conway knows it well. Mr. Conway, what are your views on this presumption of innocent crap that they continue to talk and let the system work? The system is broken. How can you allow the system to work when the system is clearly designed to favor those who are privileged, those who are powerful, and those who are aligned to the ruling party and government?
How can we get a rule of law? How can the system work when there's no system, when there's no police service commission, when there's no public service commission, when there's no judicial service commission? And those things for years, I think the Judicial Service Commission 2017 or since 2018, Police Service Commission over 2 years ago. Normally they get promotion at the 4th of July every year. Nothing they can end because there's no police service commission and there's no public service commission. So how it could work? And let me add up to those 3 ranks who were dismissed without a hearing, without the right to be heard in body. More likely to come. I think as recent as Monday, they had a meeting and
And I put for record, I had a meeting with the commander and his ranks there. And I think the meeting was called for 8 o'clock in the morning, and the commander turned up at 10 o'clock. All in preparation of the fourth anniversary. And yes, Paul, they be having a route march. And there are certain persons who I think they are detailed to go on this route march in Georgetown. They got to go on rehearsal. And they have some medical issues. And the commander is reported to have said, look, if you all ain't got, I'm going to dismiss you all, just like how I dismissed the three of them with a gun story. Some more likely to come that the rule of law may be for certain people and not for others. And constitutional bodies that's supposed to be operating. And then when we look at prosecution, Paul, I think the judge, I can't remember exactly what he said in the CCJ. He mentioned about the large number of cases being dismissed at no case submission level, where the defendant or the accused doesn't have to reply to anything, that there's no evidence there, and it reach the High Court, pass through all the various processes, pass through the DPP, because the DPP has to indict, and quite a large numbers finishing at no case submission because there's no case for the person to answer. And the prosecutors agreeing, yes, being get anything for anybody. Then. So you're talking about the rule of law. I know we're talking about due process. There are no checks and balances. I remember in the Henry Green matter where Justice Ian Chan, Chief Justice Ian Chan, when Henry Green challenged because the DPP had recommended that he be charged with rape. And before the matter could reach back to the police, Henry Green got a wink, and as commissioner, must get your own feedback. And he challenged it. And the challenge was that the DPP had to answer why she recommended that Henry Green be charged with rape. And he said, come before me and defend why he said so. DPP didn't turn up or sent some junior person. And they couldn't satisfy the Chief Justice why Henry Green should be charged with rape. Because what the Chief Justice was saying is that you, the DPP, you are the supreme authority in these matters. And if it comes to you and there is no evidence, stop it right there. Don't send it to the judge or jury or send it to a magistrate to decide. You must go through meticulously. You must see that all the elements of the charges there, all the elements of the charges there, and even getting back to this current case there, all the elements of rape is in that girl's statement. And the main elements is lack of consent and penetration. And all those were things. They did the cyber cooperation. And in these sexual offenses, there is no need for any cooperation. It is not a requirement of law. And cooperation basically is evidence that strengthens the primary evidence. Evidence that strengthens the substantive evidence. So the thing is that the DPP is critical in this area, and if the DPP is slacking up, if the DPP is not meticulous, if the DPP is not going into details to ensure that all the elements of the charge, for example, if there's a burglary and we're using in bed, you gotta get intent, you gotta get nighttime, you gotta get breakage, you gotta get entry, and you gotta dwelling out. And if those 5 elements are not there, it cannot be burglary. It got to be something else. So you got to index for something else. But the thing is that too many persons are getting off at no case submission. And others too in the High Court after trial, the guns, Katri. And it's not that the complainant come and say, I'm no longer interested in this matter, I'm not going to give evidence. Is that evidence is being led and there is no evidence to convict the person. And that's the state that we're in.
Yeah, and you made the point about what the CCJ judge said, and I have it here, I say I like to quote these things. The Justice Whip said, and this is during a presentation recently in Guyana, when he was talking about Float's pretrial chambers to ease case backlog. And he said, he's reported to have said, Justice Whip in his presentation, pointed out that Guyana has a high number of cases being thrown out on the acceptance of no case submission arguments. So you go to court, the same DPP charge people, they go to court with flimsy evidence, and the lawyers argue no case, and the cases are thrown out. And you mentioned the matter, and I have that here too. Ex-cop Bailey, among others, ex-cop Bailey, freed on charge of murdering his wife. And it say, following what was the second day of testimonies from state witnesses before prosecutor Sarah Martin conceded that she had no evidence which linked Bailey to the crime. Justice Barlow described the entire exercise as one in futility. In a form reprimand to the prosecutorial arm of the state, Justice Barlow opined that given the obvious state of this case, it should never have been brought. As it wasted precious judicial time. In her stern reprimand, the judge cautioned that the chamber of the Director of Public Prosecutions must ensure that cases satisfy the threshold needed before being brought to the court. Even as she noted that in the absence of even an iota of evidence, Bailey should not have been before the court. The judge, a former Deputy Director of Public Prosecution, rhetorically questioned why it was that the accused was before her and the charge leveled against him when no link was established between him and the offense. And this is the same DPP. This is the same DPP, and one may recall too, not so long ago in the Nisha Gopal case. In the Nisha Gopal case, where again, this is the CTJ had to reprimand the DPP. In that case, I have it written down somewhere. I'm going to come to it in a short while. So we have seen these things. We have seen these things. The Justice Whip said we have the Colin Bailey. We have other matters as well where the judges have remarked that there's no evidence. And having remarked that there's no evidence, the prosecutor from the state, from the DPP's chambers, agrees with the court that there's no evidence. And these are people who would have spent years in jail on remand and only to discover that there was no evidence. And in this case, in this Gal's case, there is compelling evidence. Compelling evidence. The statement alone from the young lady, compelling evidence, and the DPP decide not to charge. And why? She says she's not going to charge, or she's not going to recommend the charge, because the victim has said that she wants no further action, and it's in our best interest, a 16-year-old deciding what's in our best interest. And the statement, to the no further action statement, was free and voluntary. Disgrace. That is a disgrace. It's a travesty of justice. And I think the DPP should hang our head in shame, if they get shame at all, and maybe we'll make a request to go on administrative or some other leave as well, because the president seems to be inclined to accept a request of that nature. He seems so inclined. So that is what really should happen. But this whole thing has brought the country to shame and disrepute all over the world, people following this matter. I have had so many calls and so many comments on social media and elsewhere. Because how is it, especially in the past couple of hours, how can, in the light of all of this, and of course, my older police friends from local and abroad are questioning how can a statement made under those conditions be said to be free and voluntary. That is the main question that is being asked by people who are well trained in investigation, who knows all the rules. How can such a statement be accepted by the DPP as being free and voluntary? And I say to them, by anything happens in Guyana, Guyana is not a real place. Guyana, this is evidence that really Guyana is not a real place. CC?
Statement could never be free and voluntary. There were too many pressure that the little girl went under. It wasn't free and voluntary. They were, I'm sure they were threats. I'm sure they were promises of reward, favor, hope of advantage. could never be free. And the whole bottom line is, that what went on there, even with Ship Baran, the commando, he's still there as commando. We must go back to history. Remember, the late senior superintendent Edmund Cooper with the protest in Barbados. They had wanted him, his superiors, to use a lethal force against unarmed protesters. And he said, no, 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 no. Before talking, I'm not going to use force, lethal force against them. And the talking worked. They transfer him. They send him to an office called Project Office where there's nothing for him to do and send him also to a place where he could oversee the police mountain branch. But the commander in number 2 subdivision is still there. And it sounds like they're making effort to send him to a place where they're spying on people. They're looking at the cameras, which is they will replace boots on the ground. But why not give him a project office to sit in where we could review projects that are non-existent? Or send him to the equine section. You won't send him mountain band, the equine section, so that he can groom horses. They need to take decisive action because he has committed from the face of it. Yes, he has committed serious offenses. And even if we finish, even if which is has not to be the finish with the rape allegation, there are several other issues and concerns there where ministers of the government misbehavior in public office, chief education officer, eh, police, senior police officers, and a whole set of them have committed serious crimes, and just left the file like that. You never investigated those aspects of what took place. There are many, many, many criminal offenses on the face office that were disclosed there, and bam, the girl said she want to see the mother photo, and it's left with that. What about looking at in international person getting involved in it? The rights of the child and them kind of thing. What's going on? They just die a natural death. No way it should happen. Person should proceed further to make sure that justice is done. Not only appear to be done, but justice is done.
Yes, and I fully agree that this matter, and the matter, as far as I'm aware, this matter is not finished. People have been asking what next. And let me refer again to the Henry Green case that my colleague spoke about a while ago. In 2011, Henry Green, who was then the commissioner of police, was accused by a young lady of raping her. This is alleged to have taken place at a place in Broad Street. And the Dana Ramatar, who was the president at the time, caused what can be considered an independent investigation to be done, in that he asked the Jamaican Constabulary Force for assistance. And they sent down investigators to assist with that investigation. Having conducted the investigation, a file was sent to the DPP, the very DPP Shalimar Ali Haq. That file was sent, and having reviewed the file, she recommended a charge of rape against Mr. Green, Commissioner of Police. Green filed an application before the High Court. Chief Justice acting Ian Chan. He ruled, and among the things that he said, let me read this part, because I hope that these lawyers who are listening, I did some research last evening, and the Chief Justice Ian Chan that said in, I think it was a 65-page ruling, said in a packed courtroom, he delivered this in 2012, around the end of February 2012, or sometime in March, I think 2012, and the Chief Justice said that it was a case, he was referring to this case with Green, and I'm reading it here, I'm quoting him, that it was a case in which such misunderstanding of our function as a prosecutorial authority had to be corrected by way of a judicial review in the public interest. Let me read that back. That is what Chief Justice Ian Chan, Chief Justice acting Ian Chan, said in 2012 in the Henry Green's case. He said, and he was speaking about the same DPP who had advised that Green should be charged for rape. And Green moved to the High Court, different order, Shoshirai and all of these things, fancy legal terms. I don't want to bother you with them. I didn't even know if I get the pronunciation right. But the lawyers will know what I'm talking about here. And the Chief Justice said that it was a case in which such misunderstanding of our function as a prosecutorial authority had to be corrected by way of judicial review in the public interest. And I am saying the same applies in this case with Dharam Lal. The DPP has made a decision not to charge, and I'm saying that based on the ruling of Chief Justice Ian Chan in the Andrew Green case, this case cries out for judicial review to be corrected by way of a judicial review in the public interest. And therefore, the door is not closed. I am calling on all the attorneys who have been protesting and who have been calling out. If you perhaps weren't familiar with this aspect of the Greens case, you can look it up. The ruling is there. I only got this from the media, but it is there, and it is clear that the precedent has been set that when a decision has been made by the DPP, such as this one, that is deemed to be so egregious that it can be challenged by a way of application for a judicial review. Darren Wade, Dexter Todd, Dan Cush, my friend Selwyn, and all of these people, the Risedale, Amanza, all of these lawyers, y'all please, this matter should not be finished like that. You can take it up for judicial review. If you fail a well, let me take it one step at a time, because even if you go for a judicial review and the review is not favorable, and I can't see why it will not be favorable, because as we have said, the Sexual Offences Act is clear that on the statement of the victim alone, there's no need for any corroboration. On the statement of the victim alone, let me pull up the act. Again, I like to bring this thing so that my viewers, my students can look to see what the law says. This is not we are saying this. Look at it, section 69.1. Section 69.1 of the Sexual Offences Act. Hear what it says. Read for yourself what it says, because unlike some of these amphibians, you can read, you can comprehend, you can understand. It says that no corroboration of the evidence of the complainant or the sworn or unsworn evidence of a child shall be required for a conviction of any offense under this act. And the judge shall not direct the jury that it is unsafe to find the accused guilty in the absence of corroboration. That is what the law is saying. That is what, so therefore, I pose this, that if the law is saying that there's no corroboration needed for conviction, how can the DPP infer, how can the DPP say that you need additional evidence and all of that when you have a statement from the victim that does not need corroboration for the judge to direct the jury to find the person guilty and convict? And I'm saying again that the only reason this file was returned from the DPP to the police wasn't because there wasn't sufficient evidence. It wasn't returned because there wasn't sufficient evidence. It was referred because the DPP wants this type of jiggery-pogery to take place, where I guess they believe by then the girl would have been beaten down. I would have been willing to say that, look, I don't want no further action in this matter. And you will note that despite what the police are saying, the DPP based our decision, based on the release that we got, on the fact that the victim says that she don't want any further action. She did not base our decision, the president is saying, having reviewed all the statements and all of that. The DPP did not say that according to the police. She said that her decision is based on the fact that the virtual complainant indicated that she does not want to proceed with the matter. That is what she based it on. That is what she has based, the DPP has based our decision on. So she disregarded all the other facts. The statement, at least from the victim, she disregarded that. I would expect that the brother would have also, who was present at the crime scene, according to the victim, he would have gotten a statement from all of those, from him as well. But I understand that when the DPP sent back the file, the DPP wanted inconsistencies to be cleared up. And my sources have told me that inconsistencies, which the reporter, whoever wrote this report, took pains to point out perceived inconsistencies. And I understand inconsistencies related to the color of the room, the location of furniture in the house. And we know from what was has transpired that it is alleged that the minister paint up the room. People say when they go into the room, you could smell fresh paint. And I have said here before that the only way the minister, the accused minister, Nigel Dharam Lal, could have done that is because the investigators, the same people that say allow the system to work, the president and Nandalal and them said allow the system to work, those same persons would have communicated this to Dharam Lal. Again, you know, they're not doing any proper investigation, because if you were to seize all them phones and do a proper forensic analysis of these phones, you can see loads of text messages and loads of photographs with them communicating and colluding to derail this this charge. The only way he could have done that, and it's because he would have been told about that. And I understand they even mentioned some of those things in the report. The report was a bare-bone report designed to get the outcome that they eventually got. That is for the DPP to set it back, for inconsistencies to be cleared up, by which time they were able to browbeat. Remember Blossom Force? Blossom is the group that started the interaction, this social group or whatever they are known as. They didn't get away with Blossom, so they brought in another group. And apparently the other group was more pliable. The other group. And then, you know, even the child care agency, they deny that the child was denied access to the lawyer. And the lawyers were clear. Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan and Mr. Dexter Todd were clear. Ramjatan said that the mother of the girl requested his presence. And they told him, the Child Care Protection Agency told him that that is not allowed under their SOP. And as Mr. Conway rightly pointed out, you can have an SOP, but the SOP has to be keeping within the relevant laws. You can have an SOP that violate the laws. And I too am disappointed that when that was told to Mr. Ramjatan, they did not move to the High Court. They did not move to the High Court. So all of these things were designed for a particular outcome. And that outcome was to get the DPP to say, and again, the DPP saying that the victim says that the victim doesn't want to proceed any further, and in the circumstances, there should not be any case. But I am saying that that decision of the DPP should be reviewed. And I suspect that if you file an application to have it reviewed, then all the statements in the matter will be reviewed by the court, and a determination will be made as to whether the DPP acted properly or not. So I am urging all these liars, I'm urging you to show some mettle and to challenge. As I said before, you have the Henry Green precedent. And let me read it back again for my student. And the thing says, the Chief Justice ruled then that it was a case in which such misunderstanding of our function as a prosecutorial authority had to be corrected by way of judicial review in the public interest. I am saying this matter cries out for judicial review in the public interest, and over to the liars. Over to the liars to make sure that you go to court and have the decision of the DPP not to proceed or not to recommend a charge against Dharam Lal instituted. And again, I say for emphasis that she did not say that this was based on the evidence before her, according to the police release. She's saying that our decision is based on the fact that the victim, this 16-year-old victim, decided that she doesn't want to pursue this matter any further after being mentally tortured. Let me repeat that. Having been mentally tortured over days, kept away from her family, kept locked away in some oppressive conditions. And our DPP, I'm saying our because at the end of the day, she's the DPP of Guyana. Our DPP is saying to us and the world that a statement made after all of that in those conditions is considered free and voluntary. God help us. God, let me bring in CC, man. CC,
Yeah, the thing is, Paul, as you rightly said, yeah, this this strategy was to break the girl, put her on a horrible conditions, get the child link, get Blossom, get the child protection agents and all them to instead of interviewing to harass her, to vigorously interrogate her, to get consistency in her statement. That that was the whole thing, right? That they imagine at 11 o'clock in the night, she said she wanted a story. She done with it, you know. And the thing is that, you know, they're talking about the SOPs and SOPs and SOPs. Sometimes you have them produce the SOPs, and there's be the problem. People say like SOPs and they can't produce them. And I'm not talking about statement of goals. I'm talking about standard operational procedures, which some might be very much outdated or some might not even exist. And the thing is that, all right, she said she wants a story. Could you get somebody else to talk to her? Could you get a good independent psychologist to talk to her? She was very much changed her mind. Or just could abruptly, as she says, you want a story, we done with it. I agree with you that it's called for judicial review. We must have judicial review in this matter, and they have a precedent that is right down the Henry Green matter. I follow that matter very, very closely. I remember I was in court when we had campaign and in the case I followed the committee. I did not the written ruling. But the thing is that they wanted to break her and they succeeded in breaking her under adverse conditions. And the statement, because I repeated, the statement could never be free and voluntary. No way. No way. But looking forward, you know, I mentioned it on my the last two episodes that they need to establish the National Task Force for Prevention of Sexual Offences. It's Section 8.1, and I'm going to read again. There shall be established an interagency task force to be known as the National Task Force for the Prevention of Sexual Violence and shall have the duty to develop and implement a national plan for the prevention of sexual violence and Section 2 talking about the forces to be involved. The President shall appoint the members of the task force, which shall include the Minister of Legal Affairs, Home Affairs, Human Service, Social Security, Amerindian Affairs, Education, Health, Local Government, Youth, Sports, and Culture, Senior Public Servants with the responsibility for law enforcement, health and human and social services, and forces from non-governmental organizations. And Section 3 talking about the activities that it is involved. So this active is there, but to action that we need to put the national task force in place that it can prevent things like what happening. This is nonsense what happening. If we have a task force in place, it could prevent all these things from happening. And let me say, the DPP, although she varies along there, or still showing.
although she wears a long dress or slip is showing. And let me say this, you know, going back to the statement made by the Attorney General about the presumption of innocence. You know, Justice Gino Prasad in his ruling on in March had to make the point that when the president unlawfully and unconstitutionally suspended the Police Service Commission, of which I was the chairman, he did so on the 16th of June 2021, that we were entitled to the presumption of innocence. We were entitled and we weren't offered that. The president moved and he suspended. So again, they're using this concept of presumption of innocence and the rule of law on all of these things. Very conveniently, the judge in his ruling pointed out that he said that Paul Slow and the other members were entitled to the presumption of innocence And the president, the attorney general did not know that then. And they moved and they dismissed and they suspended the commission unlawfully, unconstitutionally. And the judge used all other words to describe the unlawful action. It was unreasonable, unjust, without merit, and all kind of things he said. Null, void, and of no legal consequence. So where was the attorney general then? And then he talking now about the rule of, well, he talking about the presumption of innocence. He wasn't around then. And then, I recall sometime not so long ago, the president of the Caribbean Court of Justice, Justice Sanders, actually rebuking the same DPP. These people ain't got shame, In that case alone, I would have resigned. It was in Nisha Gopal case where the guy who was charged, Jarvis Small, was convicted. And at the appeal, she was making some statement, and the Justice Sanders, I have the tape, rebuked her and said, how can you be saying this? This man was never, there's no evidence of some sexual interference with this girl and all that. The Caribbean Court of Justice is rebuking the DPP. And the DPP sits there for making these decisions. The Caribbean Court of Justice rebuked the Attorney General, claiming that he brought the court into disrepute in that election, the election petition matter. I am saying these things because these things are facts. The records are there, and they believe people stupid and they don't know what is going on. But these people are people who have no integrity, none whatsoever. They don't have any integrity, they don't have any shame. And let me say this. The DPP is the DPP, the office of the DPP, a constitutional office. But my understanding is that the DPP has 8 female lawyers working with her, 18 rather, 18 female lawyers working with her in that office. You want to tell me none of them and see that this decision of the DPP is wrong? And tell her, madam, this thing is wrong. Stand up and represent your profession, because you are going to be judged by what is going on in the office. At some stage, you're going to come out into private practice and people are going to associate you with what is going on there. Perhaps no one of the reputable law firms will want to take you because you are going to be associated with this travesty, this miscarriage of justice. And while we correctly blame the DPP, all the officers, all the lawyers who are in that office with the DPP are equally to be blamed, all of them. Because I'm sure they know and they would have seen what is going on, and they stay silent. And if you're silent, it means that you're complicit. What about all of these other groups? I see every now and again, I saw even today, a group came out, 50% signed a letter. Good, they're coming out. Oh, to all these female PPP members of parliament in particular, they are all silent. They're in the mode of closing ranks because, trust me, I find it difficult to believe that they do not know, or they did not know what Dharam Lal was alleged to be going on with. They must know. All them not in the place. Whether they meet at Freedom House, whether they meet somewhere. Look at the picture that was shown the other day. Let me see if I find it here. Let me see if I find this picture again to show you all. Look at it. Look at this picture. Look at this picture. This is a picture at CPL, Caribbean Premier League Cricket. Look at this picture. You want to tell me all of these persons, look, Dharam Lal is there sitting, surrounded by young indigenous females. Surrounded by young indigenous females. Look who are the rear at the back of Dharam Lal. The man in the gray is a businessman for Regis Street, Kolanda. The man in the middle there is Jack Dio. The man to Jack Dio left is Irfan Ali. To Irfan Ali left is the cricketer Leon Johnson. And to Johnson's left is the other cricketer Stephen Jacobs. You want to tell me all them in this stand? And this is not a ordinary stand. This is not a green stand. This is not a grass mound. This is obviously in a VIP area. And he's there with all of these young ladies surrounding him. And you could see he's almost engaging in conversation with one. So it can't be that these people are strangers. He's there. And you want to tell me they ain't suspect or know what is going on, you got to tell it to the Marines. You got to tell it to the Marines. I would never believe that they know or suspect. Even if they know, they must have a suspicion that, hey, something going on. But they're all silent. They're all silent. And when they come out to say, oh, allow the system to work. Oh, he's entitled to the presumption of innocence. Oh, the rule of law must take its course. But we see that the rule of law is broken. And I had something here to read, which I said, this case proved that justice in Guyana is on serious trial. Justice in Guyana is on serious trial or may already be dead and it's only waiting for the last rites to be performed. When we see all that is going on in Guyana, in the system, when we take into consideration the statement from the former speaker, who says that the criminal justice system is in a state of collapse. When we look at this decision from the DPP, the manner in which this 16-year-old rape victim was treated, I am saying that the justice system is on serious trial, or it may even be dead and just waiting for the last rites to be performed. This is evidence of that. This is evidence of a broken system. This is evidence of a broken system. Mr. Conway.
You thought too, you know. And then going back to the point I made earlier, the constitutional bodies are supposed to make sure that we have the rule of law. They're not there, or they're not there. There's no police service commission. There's no public service commission. There's no judicial service commission. I think there's no judicial service commission. And the Attorney General said that by the fourth quarter, long before the fourth quarter, all those things will be in place. They're not there. They're not there. So how can we get the rule of law? No way. And then some points are very quiet. I heard a word from or a good friend from the Minister of Home Affairs, the Minister of American Affairs, which is critical in this issue. Not a word. Not a word. And then the man who take to the city, you don't hear anything about, well, maybe it's coming down, you know, coming down. That the whole system stinks, it's rotten, and as you mentioned earlier, there must be a judicial review. It's the right and the opportunity is there for a judicial review. This matter must not go away because the onset didn't want no story as according to them. Once it's get talk to us, the government have changed their mind. Similar, maybe I don't know if she's still under pressure. I don't know where she is right now. But she was under tremendous pressure, mental and physical. Mental and physical person bombarding her. Blossom, Child Care Protection Agency, Child Link, and several others. And my information is the rumors that the head of that agency, the Child Protection Agency, had her for hours and hours and hours and hours and lock away in her office. Yeah? On about 11 something, 12 o'clock at night. And then at 12 o'clock at night, she would say, what's the time when she said she wants no story? This time when she should have been arrested, comfortably in her bed. But if she can't arrest in the jail, she can't arrest in the jail. The thing stinks to high heaven. And unless you put yourself in place, and again, back to calling again, let the task force come into play. Let the task force establish. And according to the task, the law, the task force will meet every 3 months. And some things that they have to put in place. Let the task force come into place. If the task force, maybe they're able to make a tax sort action by the minister. So the thing is, Paul, that lots more work needs to be done. And the thing was, this is why it was shown under that one thing, no action or a challenge. It was not be done. It was move a step forward. If they have to go international, it was move.
Yes, I agree with you. We have to stay with it. We can't leave it at this. This is such a terrible case. It cannot be left. You know what my sources have told me too, CC, that during the course of this whole process, I understand that offers were made to officers for accelerated promotion. They tell them they're going to get accelerated promotion if they were to make this matter involving Nigel Dharam Lal go away. Dharam Lal, my sources told me, was never photographed, was never fingerprinted, and yet still the DPP, that's still the Attorney General telling you about all that should be treated equally. Never fingerprinted, never photographed, never fingerprinted. He was never photographed. He was given preferential treatment, and that is the issue. Preferential treatment. And I'm saying that this matter should not end there because I don't want to go too long from now. But if you look at the rights of the child convention, there are likely to be violations which are not to be pronounced on by the DPP in Guyana. I am urging the lawyers, Darren and all of these guys, Don and Amanza, y'all follow up this thing. Under the rights of the child conventions, you might very well have human rights violation. And therefore, this thing, you might be able to pursue it at the international level. It should not be left like that. It should not be left like that. And again, I say, in the first instance, judicial review. In the first instance, an application should be made to the High Court for the review of the DPP's decision. We have the Enriquin case, and we have the ruling of Acting Chief Justice Ian Chan to be guided by. And we should use that. We should use that. This thing should not be allowed to go. Guyana is the laughingstock of the world. And the people who are protesting should continue your protest to make sure that Dharam Lal is charged. Because, you know, the U.S. Secretary of State is coming. So I suspect that would have influenced this foolish statement issued by the president about Dharam Lal making a request that he will resign. He will resign. And he has accepted that he will resign. And all this kind of mumbo jumbo. I believe it has to do with the fact that the U.S. Secretary of State is due to visit. I think it's tomorrow. So don't drop your guards. Don't drop your guards. Don't take anything at face value. Continue to apply the pressure. Dharam Lal must be charged. The fact that the DPP has indicated no charge, the DPP is not the final arbiter. The Chief Justice said that the DPP's decision are up for a judicial review. So this matter can go to the High Court for them to review the decision of the DPP not to have Dharam Lal charge. And I'll be disappointed if you all don't take it up to that level. I will be terribly disappointed. I have a lot of faith and confidence in those forces. I saw that Darren said that he's prepared to take this all the way to the CCJ. Well, an application for a judicial review is a good place to start. An application for a judicial review is a good place to start. CC, we said we don't want to go beyond 2 hours or so to get the class to tie the warriors since last night. Your closing comments, my brother.
Yeah, and we had judicial review recently. Remember that guy from Springlands where the magistrate released him and the DPP directed the magistrate to protect him and the CCG rule against him. Can't remember the name of him, but you might be more familiar with the name that that we must have judicial review. And we must challenge actions by
Marcus Bisram case, the Marcus Bisram case.
that's an ideal case, right? And we must challenge those things. And just to get it back, the police must stop the nonsense in terms of just giving us figures and stuff. That doesn't make any sense. They give you crime figures now, but they give you percentage increase. But we can do the additional impeachment division and find out that the domestic violence gone up by 150%. We had robbery more than gone up by 150%. Execution style gone up by 100%. Unknown gone up by 23%. And we must clarify every case in terms of what you call about incidents and whether it is traffic incidents or traffic accidents. Clarify, make it clear, let us know where they use it to say that
this is an incident and this is not an accident. And then let's stick to with road. And what we think, what the act says, what is road. And those giving us figures doesn't mean that they're efficient and effective. I say use the forces that you can do to ensure that you do community surveys. Go to your clients and find out how well you're doing. It's a means of bridging the communication gap. It's a means of getting feedback. It's a means of where you can see where you're doing wrong and you put proper systems in place to correct the situation. Don't give me quite triggers and quite things that doesn't mean anything. And be concerned about the traffic situation. Therefore, we need to have an holistic approach, as we mentioned, or a holistic approach. All must be involved. And 6C, corruption. Look at the Lord driver package. How will have live that they choose one body to do the theoretical examination. Zara personnel. Who are Zara personnel? Have they been properly vetted? Do the police doing anti-corruption tests? Are they doing integrity tests for those persons who are conducting the exam? More and more persons who are not qualified to drive will end up being drivers on our road. Stop the corruption. And if you don't stop the corruption, you can't stop the road deaths. You can't stop it at all. And let me repeat again, some member nothing else. This thing, this issue with Dharam Lal and this child calls for judicial review. It must not be buried. It must not be cast under the action arrest campaign that is getting bulkier and bulkier all the time. And we call on those persons to ensure, those interested persons, to ensure that justice is done. And not only be done, that justice must appear to be done. There's a, I need to say, I think we have said enough, and we will continue. We'll bring it on the front burner. We will not no retreat. We're not going to surrender.
Yeah, and folks, yeah, you know, we have come to the end of this morning. 2 hours, yes, my brother Carlton. 2 hours move so quickly, 2 hours. And let me say this, you know, I like to caution you about to be safe and so on. You would have noted, I don't know if you recognize or realize that there was another COVID death in Guyana sometime last week. And it was said last week or before the last, when the CCJ was in Guyana, the president, Mr. Sanders, displayed COVID-like symptoms. So you got to still be careful and take good care of yourself. In terms of the accidents on the road, I mean, look, people who have gone back to Guyana have communicated, have said to me, it is fearful. They are so fearful to be driving, to see what is going on the roads of Guyana. And there is no, we are not aware of efforts to curb the situation. The Minister of Home Affairs sits there, people dying, fire, people dying on the road, murder skyrocketing. These are the same people who told us in December how crime was so much under control. And these are the figures they relieve now. And this is not only between the period January 1. It has been like that all the time. It is getting worse, I must agree, but it has been like that. And they try to kerfuffle you and to deny figures. And now you have a different distinction between fatal accidents and fatal incidents and all this bull crap they're throwing at you. You have to confront the situation frontally. That's the only way to bury your head like the proverbial ostrich and to come up with all sorts of platitudes. It's not going to work. You have a situation, an organization like the Force, the president is silent. The man who sits there at the helm is due to retire within a few weeks. And I have said again, if it is your decision because you have said before that this man is so competent, if you believe he's so competent and you want to extend him, let the public know. The public have a right to know that, look, this is what you are going to do. But to get him there, and you ain't hearing anything, and I've said perhaps these people are kept in these positions so that when you have incidents like the Dharam Lal rape allegation, they can bat for you. You can say, oh, let the system work. Let the system work, knowing fully well that the system is broken and you're going to get the decision that you desire. That is what is happening. That is what is happening. So, folks, this Dharam Lal issue is not going to be swept under the carpet. The fact that the president indicated that Dharam Lal intends to resign, we shouldn't take that as face value until such time that he has resigned and we can see. Because you know what happens? Remember the last minister of local government that such an allegation was made against Ganga Prasad. He was made to resign by President Ramatar. And shortly after, the man get big work, all millions and millions of dollars in contract. And then he was appointed on the Public Service Commission and all that. So you have to keep your eyes open, keep your ears to the ground. Remember Ronald Gadraj, who was accused of being part of this death squad, the organizer of the death squad? When pressure came to bear and the visa was revoked and all of that, what happened? I commissioned it to India. So you got to be alert as to what is going on. You have to be alert. Don't let it fool you about this thing about, oh, the minister intends to resign. Don't take it at face value. Don't take it as face value. Follow up. Don't stop your protest. Follow up until such time that the minister is charged. Any other lesser person, not within the ambit or the government, would have faced the court a long time, would have been charged. And let me say this, not only charged, but in such circumstances as what has been alleged here, would have been remanded. The magistrate would have remanded you to prison. But Dharam Lal walks into the police station and 4 hours after he walks out, they say $1 million bail lodge. And up to now, I challenge them to show that money was lodged. And now that the DPP said no charge, what happens? You ain't got no money to get back because no money was lodged. It is my belief that no money was lodged. But you see, they hoodwink you. They come with this thing and tell you $1 million. And you say, okay, a lot of money lodged. But no money lodged. $1 million bail doesn't mean that money was lodged. And I am sure in this case, because you're talking about 10, 11 o'clock in the night, police don't accept money, especially any large sum of money for bail at that hour in the night. So I don't know who they're trying to fool. Mr. Parsham, your name Carlin. Parsham is the acting commander at Breakdown Region 4. Your name Carlin. Your name Carlin. We big, but we ain't stupid. We see what's going on. So, folks, next Wednesday, the 12th of July, God's spare life, God's willing, we are going to be back here to tell you about another episode of Speaking Out, exposing corruption and incompetence. Until then, goodbye, take care, and bye for now.